Hey guys, welcome back. It's time. We're taking a look at Reddit. It's been a little while since we had the opportunity to go through Reddit, see if there's people asking questions, asking for advice, and we're going to try to give some advice today. We're going to see if our advice is better than Reddit's advice. I would hope so. I would hope so. Again, it is most importantly, more than anything, if you're new to Pokemon, if you're new to any hobby, take your time. Take your time is the most important thing. One, you don't want to burn yourself out, because the longer you're in Pokemon, the more you know about Pokemon, the more you know about Pokemon cards, the more you've seen things happen. They tend to repeat themselves. So take your time. Don't burn yourself out. Learn as much as you can before you're pumping any serious money and time into this stuff. Now, we have the first one here by Arcana Seller, who says, "Hello, just cut these open from their plastic. They both seem a little top/bottom heavy. Don't see any issues on the card. Would you recommend grading? If so, PSA, do they have a shot at 10s, or Beckett 9.5s would be worth as well, or just keep them raw?" So if you think that somebody can predict what this is going to get in terms of grade, even if you pre-grade these things, if it's only the two cards that you're pre-grading, it's probably going to get a different grade if you send it in multiple times. We can't even see that. We got a card that's inside a piece of plastic that's inside another piece of plastic. So we're not going to see like any surface imperfections in any way. But in terms of centering, I've seen worse than this get 10s. I've seen better than this get 9s. So if there's no other flaws other than the fact that they are off center, they look like they're a little thin on the top, these could get a 10 or a 9. Now, whether or not you should grade them is a different story. Now, if you're using, depending on what grading company you're using, you probably want to send these to PSA. Again, if you're doing it for the financial benefit, and you need to price out, what do these cards go for raw? What do these cards go for in a 9? And what do these cards go for in a 10? If you think it's going to be a 9 or a 10, price them both out. Is it worth sending it in if they're still going to get a 9? Are you keeping the cards? All that sort of stuff. Are there fees involved? Now, this was a discussion in the Discord this morning, but you need to take everything into consideration. Oftentimes, the impression that new people get is graded good, graded more expensive. Not always the case. You can spend time and money on shipping to the grading company, grading fees with the grading company. They got to ship it back to you. You got to list it to sell it. If you're trying to make money off of it, there's a ton of stuff that you need to take into consideration. You got fees if you're selling it on eBay. You got transaction fees if you're selling it through somewhere else. The time and effort to sell it. All of that comes into play. Not to mention the fact that it is going to be typically, depending on where you are and how you're shipping, it's going to be more expensive to ship a graded card than it is if it's some cheap card that you can send in a PWE. We used to have tracked letter in Canada. I'm really, really sad that we don't anymore. But everything, you got to take it all into consideration, and you need to be very selective. This is not the pandemic where you can grade pretty much anything in existence. Sure, it takes a jillion years to get back to you, but for the most part, everyone just wanted to buy graded cards. So we see a little bit of it now. What was the huge issue, the huge like false information or narrative, I guess, that everything needs to be graded and it's going to add value no matter what. Man, you have to be very selective. For the most part, if it's not getting a 10 and it's an inexpensive card, yeah, you just wasted your money. So it's a different case for each individual card, where these are more rare. They're probably still financially viable to send them in for grading. Now, you still need to do that math beforehand. Even if it's vintage stuff, not this is a fake card. Next up, we have, has anyone seen, this is from Appa, has anyone seen a Houndoom card like this before? I think it's Chinese, but I can't find it anywhere online. This reminds me of some of the stuff that I've seen in, I guess, like childhood. There's always like the fake Chinese cards. This looks like a fake Chinese card, if I had to guess here. Found this at a garage sale years ago and have no idea about it. You should have left it there, unless it was part of a bigger package. A dead giveaway is the 43,000 damage on the card there. That is a pretty good indicator of the fact that it's fake. We can't even see how much HP it has, but it looks like it's 77,000 or something like that. A big old giveaway. It doesn't look like it's even necessarily the shape and size of an actual card. They did get the artist right. They copy a lot of this information, and I don't know if this is supposed to be like copyright 2016 down on the bottom, but this card did not come out in 2016. I can pretty much guarantee that. So counterfeit, if it doesn't exist, it's probably counterfeit. If you can't look it up, there is Chinese base set, but I don't know how far or how many other sets actually were printed in Chinese until recently. They started printing simplified Chinese again. So yeah, it's not only is it beat to hell, but it is extremely fake. Now, next up, we have That's a Dope Name, saying, I'm moving and finally decided to look at some old boxes I haven't touched in years. I'm surprised to see that these cards hold any value at all, having a separately colored back and a border. This blows my mind, and I don't know if this is mostly like, again, like new collectors, pandemic collectors, and or maybe these are just like an affordable option to like your gold stars and your EXs and stuff like that. I personally don't like these at all. They come in every deck that contain them, and it blows my mind that these are selling for any sort of value. Like, when these are selling for like hundreds of dollars, like, I can't imagine ever paying hundreds of dollars for these. There was no chase, so they're chase cards, or they're reprints of chase cards that are not actual Pokemon cards. They're just like for funsies decks that were printed, and it blows my mind that anyone even wants them, let alone. Again, it's the same art. Maybe you want the same art, but like at that point, it's not a real Pokemon card, and it doesn't really do anything for me. I don't know. To each their own. Again, if you want to collect these, by all means. I do think that you're better off buying like a lesser condition copy of like a real Jolteon Gold Star. Gold Stars are a little bit crazy at the moment. Are they gonna? There's been crazy times for Gold Stars before, and they retraced. So keep that in mind. Keep an eye on prices. If anything shot up in value, there's a pretty good chance it's going to retrace. We saw it with the Sword and Shield alt arts. We saw it with the Sun and Moon alt arts. We saw it with countless other things. Even pre-pandemic, there was a little period of time where the gold stars got pumped to oblivion, and then they kind of came back down. Not saying that they're ever going to go back to what they were at some point prior to, but you don't want to overpay. If you got patience, if you got time, use it to your advantage. All right, what do we have here? Tampered packs or poor QC? Hello, I'm just getting into collecting Pokemon cards again after 20-year hiatus. Can someone please help me out? I purchased a Lost Origin ETB directly from Pokemon Center, and there were some odd coincidences. It seemed like each set of 2 packs that I opened had the exact same basic cards in the same order. Is that a sign that they've been tampered with, or is it just poor QC from Pokemon? So, it's not necessarily poor QC, poor sorting, poor randomization. This happens. There's even with the large openings that I've done, where we open cases and cases, when I'm going through to pull out like my commons and uncommons that I need for the set, sometimes I go through a ton of it before I hit some stuff. So it's just it wasn't randomized as well as it should be. And if you have all these packs going in order, sometimes you end up with like a lot of the same cards, the same like non-valuable cards. Even sometimes within products, sometimes you see some of the chasier stuff or whatever that just didn't get randomized as well as it should have been. These all have slots within the packs themselves, and are all fed into separate hoppers that insert them into the packs. So there's probably a repeating pattern that didn't quite get offset the way that it should be, and the result is that you end up with a lot of the same uncommons and commons. Not really an issue. Doesn't really matter. Tampered packs, the Pokemon Center online does not they don't accept returns on any of the trading card game items, so you're not going to see anything like that. The same way with Big Box, usually will actually not put the stuff back on the shelf. They'll send it off. It'll get sold on pallets or whatever. So typically, especially with Pokemon Center, you don't have to worry about that. Big Box store, same thing. If there should have been hits in your packs, I mean, I guess we don't get to take a look at that, but yeah, you don't have to worry about that. They don't accept returns, and there's no chance that somebody like messed with those. Like someone at the Pokemon company isn't like messing with these to try and steal certain commons and uncommons. There's just no reason for it, other than the fact that it wasn't randomized properly. All right, what do we got here? Also, at the same time, a lot of that comes down to the fact that like they don't expect someone to buy like probably a whole case of Pokemon cards. So typically this wouldn't even matter or show up unless you buy like I guess this is just one Lost Origin ETB. So I guess within the same ETB, they didn't get mixed up properly. ETBs are usually pretty hit or miss. There's no like guaranteed you're going to get whatever from a box. You have to open a crap load. More than anyone should ever open ETBs in order to see what the pull rates are, which are exactly the same as a booster box or anything else. Booster boxes where the 36 packs are probably pulled off the line in order. It's pretty consistent with like how much you're going to get per booster box, how many hits you're going to get, other than the stuff that is less than one per booster box. But even that, with a large enough sample size, it all kind of comes out. PokeDave3 saying error. This base set Shadowless Fire Energy seems to have a big hickey on it. Thoughts? Yeah, it's an error. It's a print defect of some kind. Does anyone want to pay extra for this? Probably not. The more like crazy, there are error collectors out there, and they love stuff, but it's got to be pretty significant to be worth a lot of money, or it's got to be on a card that's like really sought after, Pokemon that's sought after, something like that. A hickey on an energy. Maybe there's someone else that wants it for $5 or something. I don't know. If you, how much would you pay? Let me know down below in the comment section. How much would you pay for this bad boy? Error collector or not? I guess tell me if you're an error collector and how much you would pay for it. And then we'll have both. We'll have a 2-for-1Z. All right. Next up, what do we got here? We got Twilight Masquerade PSA collection. Just wanted to share with all of the collectors out there. I love Twilight Masquerade because there are big cards in the set I wanted to chase. Twilight Masquerade is pretty sick, nasty. Gotta say, I do like I like everything Scarlet and Violet. I think it's pretty awesome. I think it's underrated, and I think people just kind of like it's the same thing that we've seen many times, where people only like something when it's not available anymore, or when it's expensive, or when the people want what they can't have. Beautiful cards here with the parents. I think these could have been a little bit more different. I got duped a little bit. I got excited. Or I guess I got a little not excited when I saw this one until I realized, like, hey, that's the parent with the reflection of the Growlithe in the camera lens. So very cool cards. Agree, 100%. Sick, nasty set. I love these SIRs, the IRs, all of the things that that they're doing. Pretty sick. I guess on the same topic and why I chose this one was the fact that if you're trying to block out the number on your PSA cases, first of all, you probably don't have to worry about that. If it's like a Perrin Gem in 10, people are probably not stealing that. They can steal it regardless. They can go look up the cert and find it. But if you put a line across this bar is just the cert number. So if you scan this with a barcode scanner, or you can even submit it online, you can scan it, or with your phone even. Essentially, any horizontal line that goes across all of these bars will produce the number that's on the right-hand side here. So you're kind of wasting your time trying to block these if you can see all the bars across, people can find the cert. So like you can still scan these, well, I think a lot of times people cover them, or like don't cover the barcode, but they cover the number. Barcode is the number. Barcode scanner just needs to see all of the lines across any point. So putting a single line across is not doing anything. Also, you just don't need to do it. It's typically not required. Be a little bit weary or careful if you're seeing somebody selling something and they have that blocked off. It might be because they have multiple copies of a 10 and they're selling them as a multiple listing. Or it could be that they're trying to deceive you, or it could just be that they don't understand that for the vast majority of stuff, people are not cloning these numbers in order to make the real thing. And it kind of just makes it look more shady than it probably is. Relaxing YouTubers that open packs. Basically, the title, just looking to watch some YouTube videos of people opening packs, but I don't want all the screaming, shouting if they score a decent pull. If anybody has a channel recommendations where I can watch somebody open packs without going crazy, then send them my way. I never really understood that, whether it is an opening, like a YouTube opening, or like whatnot. I can't stand it. I can't watch it. Like if somebody's screaming and hyperactive and like breaking my eardrums and pretending to be excited about stuff that's probably not as exciting as they let on, especially if it's somebody that's opening cards all the time. For them to pretend that it's exciting to open something is kind of weird. And then when it's something that's definitely not exciting and they're pretending that it is, when it's not like a chase card or anything like that, I don't know, but that's what it is. YouTube, Poketube, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Typically pretty fake. I like to try to believe that that I don't fake anything and try to stick with that. But again, fakeness. Hype Dog 69 is gonna get you the views. Telling people what they want to hear is gonna get you the views. It's gonna get you the people are gonna be accepting of it. I'm gonna tell you what you don't want to hear. If you're upset about it, I don't care. Tough shit. Don't care. I'd rather be upfront and honest about that stuff than anything else. And speaking about being upfront and honest, we got the link tree. If you want to support the channel, do not send me money. Instead, get yourself a discount with one of the discount codes here. This is all stuff that I recommend and that I use. Or if you're shopping on any of these places, typically you do not want to be shopping at Walmart, Target, whatever, unless there's a really good deal. Don't do it. For the most part, you shouldn't be going in person. This isn't the pandemic anymore. You shouldn't be going to Walmart. You should be shopping on your like Trolling Toads, your Securus Card Shop, your Card Market, your TCG Player, and all that stuff. Smart purchasing decisions. What the fuck are you doing? Do not go on Whatnot and buy and pay somebody to open your pack at a premium. Go open your own packs. If you need people to open packs with, join the Discord. Come on into the Saturday happy hours. You can open your packs there. We'll watch you do it. But thank you to all the sponsors here. Thank you to everyone that's been using it. Giant help when we have bad actors who like to flag my videos. We have content that is a little bit drawn. A lot of the evidence-based content and a lot of the interview type stuff is long form. It's, you know, it's unnecessarily long, but that's just so that people can't say like, oh, you didn't even look into this, or oh, you took that out of context. No, there's no taking it out of context here. We're going to have the full context. And that's thanks to you guys supporting the channel through those links and through those discount codes. No additional cost to yourself is the best way to support the channel. I love it. Thank you very much. Now, cleaned out my basement and found my Pokemon cards from when I was a kid. I was cleaning out my basement and found my Pokemon cards and collected and traded them when I was a kid and kept them in a school binder. Haven't kept up with Pokemon since, but thought I would post. This is a dangerous moment. This is when you potentially get back into Pokemon. And that was kind of like that with me. I more like started playing the online game, Pokemon trading card game online, and then I dug up the old binder, and then it was just downhill from there. Now look where I am. I look at Pokemon cards every day, all day. Haven't kept up with Pokemon since but thought I would post. Any ideas what I should do? If you think you have any attachment to them, you probably want to just hold on to them. They're probably. Ooh, we got a Shadowless Chansey there. I didn't even look through the cards, but I love these posts. The like childhood binder stuff is like really cool to me. It's like authentic. People don't know what they're looking at. They come on here, they ask people what they got, what they're doing, what they should do with it, and only they really know the answer. This is one of those questions where it's like, why are you asking other people what you should do? Do you like them? Do you want to keep them? Some of the cards I have are TV edition cards, and I have some Dragon Ball A cards at the back. I don't know what that means. Dragon Ball, maybe you meant Dragon Ball Z. Probably Dragon Ball Z cards at the back. So this is one of those things where you gotta know what you're looking at. You gotta do some research to find out what you got, what you're doing. My God, that Gyarados is beat to hell. And a lot of this stuff, a lot of the childhood cards, they're gonna be beat up. It was, you were a child, they were not worth very much at the time. You were slinging these bad boys to school and back before school banned them. I would imagine most schools ban them. You got a Chansey here. This is a Shadowless Chansey. You can tell there's 99 twice at the bottom. The colors are slightly different, and it does not have a shadow on the border here on the picture frame. So Shadowless Chansey, very cool. It's probably got some wear and tear on it, but that's probably going to be one of the more expensive cards within the stuff that's shown here. Machamp, this is just the regular deck Machamp. It's got a shadow in its first edition because it is, that's just how they were printed. There is a shadowless version of it, but everything else that came in the actual first edition packs, you do not need to say that it's first edition shadowless, because all first edition is shadowless other than the Machamp here, which comes in both, because it was not in an actual booster pack. Very cool collection. Very cool to see the old cards. What in the crap is going on with this Arcanine? So that's where you're going to have to sift through. You're going to have to see if you have some fake cards. And you will most certainly. The kids were trading them. It's the same thing now. And please, guys, I did tell a kid yesterday that the gold cards that he had were all fake. It sucks. It sucks to tell whether or not that was gifted to the kid, whether or not that was the kid brought them to school and traded them to other kids, or he got them in a trade for his real cards. Never a good thing. It's never a good thing. Do not, if you don't want to spend a lot of money on Pokemon cards for your child or for a gift to a child, do not give them the fakes. Do not entertain the fakes. Do not provide money to the fakes, because it just makes people make more fakes, and it's gonna break some kid's little heart that he's got fake cards. Give him some real cards to make up for the fake ones that he had, but the kids don't know the difference. And then when they find out that, hey, I traded all my real cards for fake ones, it's pretty sad. So don't buy fakes. Don't entertain fakes. Don't make videos about, oh, look how fake these cards are that I got from Etsy. Who would have? Oh, I got duped. Oopsie dupes. It's better to just not have anything to do with those. And if you want, kids, for the most part, kids do not need alt-art, super alt-art chase cards and PSA 10. They want some cool cards. They want some big numbers on it, and not 7,000 HP. Big numbers. They just want some like real EXs, some real Vs and stuff like that. They're crazy excited about that. And even before that, if it's a little kid that just wants some Pokemon cards, bulk they're over the moon with bulk. They're just like, oh my god, there's Pikachus and Eevees and all kinds of stuff. Eventually, as they get older, they're probably going to want the chasier stuff, but that's kind of my advice on that. If you're a parent and you're on a budget and you think your kid is going to destroy the cards anyway, buy some secondhand real cards. They don't need to be vintage. They don't need to be expensive. And there's lots of bulk. You guys know there is lots of bulk. If you have bulk too, give it to some kids. They love that. Halloween, give out some Pokemon cards with the candy. I know it's a good way to get rid of Pokemon tins that are kicking around. Fill a tin with some candy and some cards, and you'll be known as the Pokemon house for Halloween. It's a pretty amazing stuff. Maybe you get some new people into Pokemon, and they get to enjoy it while having real cards. So we do got the Dragon Ball Z cards here. Again, I haven't looked through this, but yeah, you'd have to go through, check for fakes. It looks like there might be a few fakes in there, but other than that, pretty cool to see an old collection. What you should do with it, you probably want to hold on to it if there's sentimental value there. If you want to get back into Pokemon, you probably want to hold on to it regardless. Next up, we have just won an auction for a base set booster pack. I had to post because I'm just too stoked. Won it for $355. I'm going to rip it when it gets here, and I'll update with the polls. Edit, I don't care about the value of cards that are inside. Strictly doing this for nostalgia. So I think the most important missing piece here, and I didn't scroll all the way to the bottom, is the fact that if you're buying vintage booster packs, they are most certainly weighed. If you are not disclosing that it's heavy, and there's a good chance that they were not disclosing whether it was heavy or light, or you just didn't notice that it said that it was light, you're not going to get a holo from it. So if you want to open it regardless, and you don't care that it's a light pack, but this is one of those things where you need to look into it beforehand, make sure you're getting it from somewhere reputable. Make sure you're getting it from somewhere. If you're opening it, you're going to be able to tell if the cards inside are real or not, or if it was resealed, just based on probably, if they're going to swap out the cards, they're probably going to put used cards inside, or in the rare slot, or in the holo slot. But this just seems like if you're gonna buy this stuff, learn about it beforehand, please. And maybe this takes someone kind of mentioning, hey, you gotta know if it's light or heavy. People are just talking about how, like, hey, the value is not gonna come out of it. So with the base set pack, you basically gotta pull a Charizard, and if it's a light pack, I don't think there's any way you're getting light pack money back out of it. But if it's fun for you, if that's what you want to do, by all means. But just know what you're doing beforehand. Set your expectations to where they need to be, and don't get like hosed, someone telling you that it's unweighed when it isn't. All the vintage stuff essentially has to be weighed at this point in time, unless it's coming straight out of a box from somebody reputable. Yeah, probably. But at least he's buying his own booster pack, right? He's not paying somebody $500 on whatnot to open it for him and scam him. If Evolving Skies hit rate was like 151 for me, I've opened one UPC and 6 ETBs of 151. That's the 70 packs, and unless my math is off, my one ETB was a lucky box. I hit Squirtle, SAR, and Zard SAR in the same ETB. So the Squirtle is an IR. The thing with your Evolving Skies is the pull rates are not the same. The pull rates are not the same largely because there is no IRs, so there's no chance to hit a Squirtle equivalent. And then the Zard itself is much easier. I guess we don't have the other pictures. Erica's Invitation SIR, pretty awesome, very inexpensive, but pulling this stuff is a lot easier. Pulling this stuff is a lot easier than it is in Evolving Skies because you got like what 1 and 2 or 3 boxes to hit an alt art. So alt art's not comparable to your SIRs and your IRs and everything that can come out of. So that's where knowing what products, knowing the pull rates, knowing what's available and the different rarities within different products plays a huge role. And that's kind of something that hopefully Grimwolf 69 as they progress and learn about the hobby and the different products kind of figures that out, because expectations, adjust them accordingly. Certain stuff, you got to kind of know how often stuff comes out and what's possible to pull out of this stuff in order to not just blame it on like, oh, Evolving Skies, it's just screwing me over. If only I could do it. Evolving Skies and all those early scents before the trainer gallery are very rough to open. Your Battle Styles, your Chilling Rain, your Evolving Skies. There's no trainer gallery. Like you're getting like 1 in 6 packs to get just a V or better. So when you're opening a few elite trainer boxes or something, even if you're opening a booster box, like you can get taken for a ride, especially with the inflated prices of those boxes now at this point in time. All right, entire place 8081 saying, is this an error or just a really bad cut? It's a really bad cut. Also, it would probably be referred to by most as a miscut. It looks like we got a little bit of the next card that's on there. Pretty cool stuff. Somebody will want this. Some Blissey collector out there will probably want this, and it'll demand a premium. So if you were opening this and you just wanted a regular Blissey and you're disappointed by the fact that your Blissey looks like this, you're going to be all right. Buy another Blissey for $2 and sell this one off for, I don't know even what people, probably $100. If you find the right buyer, $50, $100 that you could probably get for this. So it's better than any, probably even more expensive than a 10 Blissey, if I had to guess. We're not looking at prices here. We don't have time for that. Next, Mystica _ is my entire sealed collection as of today. I wanted to share the sealed stuff, so I have so far a mix of Japanese and English stuff I've gathered over the years and will only grow as time passes. I also post my slab collection soon once I have everything in hand, so be on the lookout for that one. This is pretty cool. We got a lot of modern stuff. But it's not like the average like seal. I'm a seal collector. Like, what does Walmart have on the shelf currently, and why is it on my shelf in my background, on my Pokemon background kind of scenario? So it's cool to see a little bit of refreshing. We got some older stuff, some newer stuff. We even got the Versus series packs down below there. It looks like very nice. We're missing the Water Fire, but that one is very expensive, a couple $1,000 last I checked. Pretty cool stuff. I mean, if you like the sealed stuff, be careful with some of the older sealed stuff, especially these poncho boxes. Make sure you're getting them from somewhere reputable, because there's a scary amount of money in these, and it's just kind of a regular clear wrap. Also with the Japanese stuff, as we've seen recently, where it doesn't have Pokeball wrap on it or anything like that, even if it has the pull strip, it can be, if you're keeping it sealed, please buy it from the most reputable place that you can possibly buy it from, because you don't want to find out that it's repacked, that the hit was taken out of it and it was re-glued or anything like that. It happens. It has happened. It's still a danger. It's concerning. Hopefully more precautions are put in place for these, and hopefully less of it happens now that the Japanese market is kind of tapered off, or at least come back down to normal for the most part. Next, Your explanation kindly requested. I fully dove back into collecting in 2020 and playing in 2022. I'm a recovering Gen 1er who is making the way through the old games. I'm up to Platinum. I haven't watched the anime past Kanto. I kindly request anyone who's willing to please explain the community's love for Greninja. Greninja's kind of like, he's like a Charizard light for the Zoomers. Since I haven't made it that far, I have a zero connection to this mon and don't understand. I realize Twilight Masquerade pull rates are but beyond that, I'm specifically trying to learn about Greninja itself. So, Greninja itself, fan favorite Pokemon. Ash had a Greninja. Ash was able to like fuse himself with the Greninja to make Ash Greninja. Played a giant role in the anime, fan favorite Pokemon. People love it. Kids love it. I would imagine that most of the kids that were watching the anime and playing the games at the time when Greninja was a thing are probably big Greninja fans, but that's just kind of what it is. Any Pokemon that has extra attention given by the main character in the anime, or any attention that the Pokemon company deems that they're going to place upon a Pokemon, is going to make it a more popular Pokemon. So like your Ash's starters, all of that stuff. I mean, the starters always kind of get some favoritism in the games themselves. But then when Ash has like, there's a whole story kind of built around the Greninja and its relationship with Ash, main character, popular Pokemon, third evolution. It's pretty self-explanatory. Now, will it ever be Charizard? No, Charizard has already kind of been cemented. Charizard gets reprinted in every era. Different versions. Every time there's a new version of a Pokemon, Charizard gets it, and it probably gets 6 different versions of it, as we've seen with the Charizard EX. I don't know how many different versions of that Charizard EX there are at this point, but there are a lot. I think also there's a little bit of it is people looking for something that isn't Charizard as a chase. It's cool to see some attention get given to Greninja. Umbreon is kind of getting a little bit too much love, I think, and something else getting some love, getting a cool artwork, getting a chase card that people actually want or after is refreshing. I get it. People might disagree with the price about what it's worth, who likes it, who doesn't like it, but I like to see it. I like to see other Pokemon get the spotlight. There is a recipe that Pokemon likes to kind of repeat on each gen, and seeing them stray from it at least a little bit is a nice look. And this was kind of, I think, people, the price, hard to pull. If the price is expensive, people are going to look at it more than they're not. All right. Educational Tooth 78. That is quite the name. QC had an off day. Not the worst cuts I've seen, but certainly the worst I've pulled. It's weird how random packs seem to have the same issue, but not the entire box. So typically, the sheets, whatever's on the same sheet. So if it's like your reverses that are off center here, if you have one reverse in a box that's off center, the rest of the box is probably going to be similar. I mean, short of it coming off another sheet or coming from another place. If it's within the same booster box or booster case, typically opening one box is going to tell you what the other boxes are going to look like. This is off, but I mean, yeah, we've seen far worse. So Scarlet Violet, I haven't opened too much that was off center. Or had like on the reverses. You'll oftentimes, if you see print lines, if you see scratches on some of them, you're probably getting it on all of them. I've had like Chilling Rain was just terrible for that. A lot of the stuff during the pandemic was seemingly rushed and scratched and not great. So where the centering is not great on these, less than ideal. The reverses are also like much easier to complete if you're doing a set. So if you're worried about that, they're in abundance at this point in time where they put them like 2 per pack. Next, we have a GTBC grading. Can't say I've ever heard of it. Saw this card recently and I'm thinking of buying. They have it at 90, which is a bit lower than the cost of the card ungraded. So if it's ever in a case, and just make sure you're buying the card, not the grade, not the grading company. If you're just going to crack it out anyway, then who cares? If you're buying it to have it graded, I don't know why you would ever want it in this case. I don't know who would spend the money to get this graded, but make sure you're very careful. Do not trust the grade. Buy the card, not the grade, especially when the grading company is something you've never heard of before, and make sure that the card inside is authentic. Now, I couldn't really tell from this picture after a quick glance whether or not it is the real deal. Make sure you're buying this in a way that you can get your money back if it's fake. And make sure you know what the real thing looks like. Make sure you check it when you receive it. I mean, do as much research as you can beforehand. to try and tell if it's real, if there's damage on it, or if there's any issues that they gave it a 9.5, but it's got a giant dent in it, or the corners have been chewed off of it by a cat. Problem is, I have never heard of this company. I can't seem to find anything other than it's a Chinese grading company and that they seem strict. Do you guys know anything about it? Or if the card looks legit, it only has one picture posting after all. All right, we got Japanese. So let's take a look at the card itself here. We can give it a zoomerini. A little bit concerning is the fact that we're not seeing the textures all that much. Now, the textures are there. Or at least they're imitated to be there. But the picture is not really good enough in order to like determine for certain that this is a real card. And it looks pretty good, but again, I would not be blindly purchasing this without better photos of the card itself. We don't have a back photo. This is what the real one looks like for reference, so it's a little bit weird that we don't have any of that kind of foil coming back off of it. You can see here that the texture is more prominent, that the texture does exist on the background and on the bars, etc. And on the border itself has that kind of like fingerprinty swirly texture kind of thing to it. So be careful. Be careful that it's a real card is basically it. But if it's in a graded case, it's less than near mint, and the card looks like it's near mint, and you can get a deal that way, by all means. And that comes back to play into the, like, don't just grade with any grading company and spend $20 on a card that isn't going to become more expensive. All you did was waste your time, effort, money, and make it harder to ship, and no one gives a shit that it's in a GMT LMNOP. So if you want to grade, I personally don't think grading is worth it whatsoever if it's stuff that you're collecting. If you're grading it for financial reasons, or you just like to, you like the case, you like to have it in the graded cases for your own personal reasons, and it's worth the money to you, then by all means do what you got to do, collect what you want to collect. I am not here to stop you on that, but just make sure you're making smart decisions on if you're doing it for financial reasons, whether you're not selling or selling right away. Be careful. There's a lot of ways to waste a lot of money that you could have spent on more cards. And again, this is coming from the guy that buys the graded cards to crack them out, to put them in a binder, because oftentimes you can get them for less money than just a near mint copy, even though it's an 8. Chilling Pain. 8's the best grade, by the way, for cracking. Chilling Pain is an understatement. Find a go KMs, but go KMS. Oh my god, we're getting into suicidal things here. Bought 5 ETBs at my last attempting at going for some chase cards from Chilling Reign, and I see why it's called a Chilling Pain. We got the Zoomer Pain here. It was a gamble and I lost. At least I got them for a good price from Target. My lady works there, so we get 10% off. I see why they were only $34.99. I bought everyone off the shelf they had left. Yeah, even 10% off, even at $35 here. Again, set your expectations. You got 5 ETBs here. The odds of you pulling an alt art, basically non-existent. It can happen. You could pull a couple. Very cool. We got the receipt for proof. We believe you. And again, this is like a V is going to be like 1 in 6 packs. Your full art's even less than that. Your alt art's even less than that. So, Chilling Pain. The pull rates are difficult. No, there's no trainer gallery. There's no IRs. There's none of this other stuff that people kind of seemingly like forget is in other stuff when they're like, oh yeah, the pull rates. When you're only looking for alt arts, you're in for a bad time. And then even some of the alt arts are not very expensive. If you think you're going to make your money back on buying ETBs even at a 10% discount at Target, I got bad news for you. Unless you enjoy opening this stuff and you know that cost is sunk in like the enjoyment factor, you're in for a bad time. So tell that to everyone. Do not open product because you think you can make money by opening product. You will not. When the rare occasion when it is the case that something is profitable, people will open it until it's no longer the case. We had some weird examples. I always go back to Celebrations when it first came out. You could open Celebrations. All the Pikachus were like the price of a pack. You could easily break even opening and selling the stuff. Now, it was hard to get the actual product itself, and that played a large role in it, but people didn't really understand how easy it was to pull a lot of that stuff and how much was going to be opened eventually. So then when there's singles everywhere in existence and stuff isn't that rare, you end up with the price of the singles being very low. Opening Evolving Skies. So same thing with Evolving Skies. I don't know who needs to hear it. It is extremely hard to pull the alt arts and a lot of the other stuff. There's been so much Evolving Skies open that a lot of the other stuff that isn't the Moonbryon, that isn't your like chase stuff, your evolution alt arts, is going to be extremely inexpensive. So that's all we got for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Look out for each other out there. Remember, pace yourself if you're new. Pace yourself in general. Do not burn yourself out on the hobby, because the best thing that you can do for yourself in the hobby is to stick around for a long period of time. Learn as much as you can, but don't burn yourself out on that either. If you're around it, if you enjoy it, even if you can casually enjoy it for a long period of time, you're going to be much better off. You're going to know what you're looking at. You're going to see these trends. You're going to see this stuff. You're going to see information. You're going to see that what's a good decision. What's a good financial decision versus a bad one. You do not need to be stonk dogging, studying, predicting markets, treating it like the stock market. You just need to make pretty good decisions most of the time, and you're going to be just fine. That's all I got. That's the moral of the story here. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys next time. Join the Discord. Bye.